Oh, and we live.
There we are, and we're back.
Is that Hudson Flynn? Hudson, you host this show?
Man, do you host this show? Do we do this show anymore? I don't even.
I was literally thinking, bro. I was like, with the amount of stuff that I had going on between the wedding and the All-Star game and the trip to Denver and coming back, and like my life has been crazy the last 3 weeks, where I literally was like, yo, there's no way the Nets could have been playing. And there's no way the Nets would have been in the finals and I would have been able to fully cover the finals and throw DJ, host my own wedding, and go to the All-Star game, go to the home run derby, go to the John Boy media events out in Denver, get on a flight, fly back. Like, I did a bunch of stuff in the last couple of weeks, but I ain't forgot about Talkin Nets. It's just, I hate where the NBA is right now, honestly. And
pretty lame, honestly.
I'm ready for it to be over, yo. And we will talk about that and more on episode 115 of Talkin Nets. We will get right into it. Let me make sure I'm recording on my end. I'm not recording on my end. Record, test. Okay, the test is live. We are recording.
We are good to go.
Count us in for a quick intro, and then we will go right into the show. So, Talkin Nets, episode 115. It has officially been over a month since the Nets' last game. We won't talk about that last game, but can they start the offseason already? I'm tired of the NBA Finals. I haven't even been watching the NBA Finals, but we'll talk about that today. Game 6 is tonight. We're coming to you on Tuesday, July 22nd or July 20th. Clearly, I don't know what day it's been. I have been in Denver. I have been at my wedding. I have been running around nonstop. So sorry for the delay. I'm back. Hudson's been hitting me like, bro, what are you doing? We got to do the pod. We missed last week. I apologize for that. But we've got a jam-packed episode today. Talkin Nets. Let's get it. All right. Counting us back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes, sir. Welcome back to Talkin Nets, episode 115. Keith McPherson and Hudson Flynn joining you on Tuesday, July 20th. It's about 10 minutes after 2. Shout out to the folks in the chat. What up? We're back. Yes, we are back. I have to take blame for the absence. So it has been over a month since the last Nets game. And honestly, man, I needed this break. I needed the Nets not to be on. I needed to not be so consumed with the playoffs and going to games and covering games and doing the pod, because I have real life stuff going on. I had real life stuff to do. I got married on June 30th. I had my wedding on July 10th. And then at July 11th, I flew to Denver for the All-Star game and the John Boy media events and the home run derby. I don't know if everyone listening is aware of that. Maybe you follow me on Twitter. Maybe you follow me on Instagram, or you don't. But yeah, I've been, moving and grooving. I've been on a decent run here. Hudson Flynn, how you doing, bro? I know it's been a minute. Sorry to abandon you like this, but we're back. Can you say hello to the people?
It's all good, man. And look, vibes are weird. I'm going to be honest, with just the season starting around Christmas time, all those months late and everything being pushed. And, today, game 6 of the NBA Finals happening on July 20th. It's late. It's late. The NBA season is not supposed to still be going on. The draft should have already happened. We should have already known who's on the team. We should have had free agent signings. We should have had all of this stuff. I mean, shoot, we passed the anniversary of the clean sweep, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, just a couple days ago. So, thinking back, it's like, wow, this is just not where the NBA season is supposed to be. I'm grateful that the NBA is going to get back on their normal calendar going forward. But this podcast is called Start the Offseason, and man, I am ready. I am ready. We took that little break last week, just kind of letting the finals finish out before it gets time to really buckle down and bear down and see what's going on in the Nets world and in the NBA world as a whole. And I'm ready for it. I'm excited. I'm replenished. I'm rejuvenated. And frankly, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to see what the Nets are going to do to make it so that they can go and win the NBA Finals next season, because that is really all that matters going forward now. And it's time to actually start making the changes that can have that be a thing and make that happen.
Yeah, man. I'm just like, I'm to the point. I'm putting out a tweet so we can get some more people into the chat, but I'm just at the point where I'm over it. And like you said, this is it's strange vibes, strange energy, I guess, because we're not used to the NBA season going into NFL training camps opening. Like, NFL training camps open this week. How about them Cowboys? And we're still watching the NBA, and unfortunately we got to watch Giannis and the Bucks and the Suns, who were up 2-0, just like the Nets were up 2-0, struggle with this team. Now, before we get into talk about Game 6 and how the finals have gone tonight, I mean, I didn't even really know how this was going to go. I think on our last episode, it was NBA Finals time, and I wasn't sure Giannis was going to even play. We all heard about his knee, but of course Giannis is going to play. The NBA international superstar, the Greek freak, the NBA's darling, their prized possession that was left. I told y'all, LeBron isn't in these finals. Steph Curry isn't in these finals. KD isn't in these finals. So the NBA looked at it as, hey, let's get our two-time MVP into the finals finally, and maybe he could win a chip. Don't matter if he takes 13 seconds to shoot one free throw. Don't matter if he's fouling and bulldozing and getting his way and having his way. That's what we want, because we're the NBA and this is the NBA product. But let's go into these news and narratives. Ben Simmons, we're not going to spend much time talking about Ben Simmons, but this is something that I put in the notes because a week ago, almost 2 weeks ago, Nets Twitter was having this conversation about Ben Simmons where I was just like, no, why would we want Ben Simmons? Hudson Flynn, why would the Brooklyn Nets, which they're not because now more information has come out, but immediately Nets fans, when Ben Simmons' name came up, were like, oh, Ben Simmons, possibility for a trade to the Brooklyn Nets? We should look into that. And I have probably 10 reasons why we shouldn't. But what were you thinking when you saw Ben Simmons in a Brooklyn Nets jersey on your timeline?
I thought, did you guys forget? Like, this is Ben Simmons, right? We don't want Ben Simmons. We don't like Ben Simmons, aside from how, much of a fit or whatever he would be. And we know what the Sixers are asking for, and that would mean trading away like a Kyrie. And we know who comes out on top in that matchup, especially considering what Ben Simmons did in the playoffs. Look, it's just like, don't switch up on us now, Nets fans. I don't know. I feel like maybe there was a little bit of new Nets fan energy. I hesitate to say bandwagon energy, but to say, did you guys forget what happens when the Nets play Ben Simmons? What happened when we played him in the playoffs? You remember all of that beef back in the Jared Allen days and the Jared Dudley days? Like, there's beef there. There's history there. And aside from, do we need a bigger body that can play good defense? Like, sure. I'm sure the Nets would absolutely have benefited from having Ben Simmons on the team. But for what the price is and for who he is, I cannot even believe that we had mentions on our Twitter saying we should get Ben Simmons. We should trade for Ben Simmons. If we can trade away that cancer Kyrie Irving, we can get, like, oh my God, it's just like, welcome back to the Nets world. Welcome back to the Twitterverse. Welcome back to just these nonsense garbage narratives, because the fact that we're even considering trading for this man, Ben Simmons, the fact that there are Nets fans that are out there like, yeah, trade Kyrie for him. Kyrie takes breaks when we're playing in the regular season. Like, oh my God, it's just like, it honestly, for me, it was a rude awakening. It was like, it's off-season time. Nets fans haven't changed. We're still firing up the trade machine, looking for who we can sign. We're never satisfied. And that lack of satisfaction has taken us to a point where somehow hopefully a small portion of Nets fans are okay with splashing out the cash, splashing out the assets for Ben Simmons, who just embarrassed himself in the playoffs.
No, yeah. You guys were hating on Joe Harris not being able to make a shot in the playoffs. Why the hell would you want the problem that the Sixers had with Ben Simmons not even taking open dunks in the playoffs? Let that be somebody else's issue. We got enough going on over here. We got enough talent over here. We need to complement what we have here. We don't need Ben Simmons. Let's move on. Like Ben Simmons, Mona Lisa looking ass. I know you Nets fans hate him. Like he killed us a couple years back. I was at that game on Martin Luther King Day. He was like destroying the Nets, Jared Allen. I think he had like a triple-double and 34 points. He's not that good to be getting off like that. Another guy whose name was popping up on the Nets Twitter timeline and always is one Spencer Dinwiddie. I have to say I love Spencer Dinwiddie. When I went to Colorado, when I went to Denver, I wanted to ride out to Boulder, Colorado, obviously to see the school. My girl wanted to hit some, happy hours, some rooftop vibes. I just wanted to go to Colorado University to see the campus where Dinwiddie was. I couldn't get to the basketball court, but I did get to the football field, which was pretty cool. And shout out to Spence. Don't know where he's going to land. I hope he stays with us. But what did you think this week when you saw Spencer talking about Nets in 4 when compared to the Lakers? And it caused a little stir. He caused a little stir with the Nets in 4 tweet and his tweet about Giannis. And I love it because we haven't seen Spencer play in a while. We don't know if he's going to be on the Brooklyn Nets, if he's going to be on another team. I think the Knicks are interested in him. Other teams obviously are going to be interested in him. But what are your thoughts about Spencer's Twitter antics? I feel like we've known this about Spencer for years and people are just now catching on.
I mean, shoot, I'm just going to say what he said as a reply to his own tweet. It's not like all of a sudden because he's a UFA, like he hates the Nets or doesn't rock with the team that he was on, the team that in the franchise that like rebuilt his career. And this is in reference specifically to the whole Nets in 4 comment. Like he can still rock with the Nets. And also he can still watch basketball and say, okay, when healthy, obviously, the Nets are on a different level to everybody else. So there's that part of it. And at the same time, it's accurate. It's accurate. I do stand by that. I stand by that the Bucks and to a lesser extent the Suns, because of the Lakers being, having all their injury issues, are having a weird finals because they both kind of lucked their way into the finals. The Bucks obviously going down the Nets obviously going down to the Bucks because of the whole, half an inch on the line, no Kyrie, a third of a James Harden, all that stuff. And the same kind of situation for the Suns. So part of me is like, look, we can talk about this. We can lean into whatever, this finals is, but it was destined to be a Nets Lakers thing. And it was destined that Spencer Dinwiddie might've been able to play in that finals. And for him to still be talking about and repping with the Nets, even though he's in the midst of negotiations with them, I like it. I like that he's a good guy. He's always been one of my favorite Nets players. And even if he does, switch sides, go to the evil Knicks or to the Lakers or whoever, I'm still going to root for him because he's a cool guy and he rocks with the Nets.
Yeah, I love Spencer. He was my favorite Net before we got KD, Kyrie, Harden. He's one of the last of the OGs. Obviously, it's him and Joe Harris. And I like his Twitter personality. I like his Bitcoin stuff. And we'll come back to him in a little bit because his tweet about Giannis, I will reference. And there's another topic in the news and narratives that will, for some reason, bring Spencer's name back up. But we got to move on. Other Nets players, Reggie Perry. Did you see Reggie Perry was running pickup games with J. Cole? Also, Carmelo Anthony was out there, and our guy Alize Johnson was out there. The biggest thing for me was seeing Reggie Perry shoot that 3 with confidence. And I think he's going to take a big step between year 1 and year 2. And I think he's going to contribute next year. He's a hard worker. He's a guy that has always been at the top of his class, the top of his game. He played a bunch as a rookie, a bunch more than we probably expected him to. And I think he's got a chance to take a step forward. But what were you thinking seeing? I think those Black Ops, they play at like Lifetime Fitness or something. It's the same court that you always see the NBA players playing pickup games on. Did you catch that, Hudson?
Yeah, I mean, on one hand, first off, happy for Reggie Perry. Like that he's showing improvement in his game. That's our guy. One of our first players to come on the podcast. Our only player that is still a member of the Nets to be on the podcast. He came out with the confidence. He told us his first points in the NBA were going to be on an open three. Didn't quite get that, but I love the confidence. I like that he's working on his game. I do think that he has upside. I like the potential we see in him. I like that he's getting, the work in with, stretch bigs, Kevin Durant, namely. On the other hand, how is he getting these invites?
I don't know, man. Brooklyn. I don't know. It's New York.
No offense. I'm not trying to say anything negative about Reggie Perry. I never would be. But I don't know who's giving him these invites, because that was an interesting group of players, interesting group of people, of celebrities to end up playing a basketball game. But good for Reggie. I think he is going to put in the work. I think we are going to see an increased role for him on this team next season. I think, coming off the bench, he's going to be an interesting piece that the Nets might be able to make use of. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do, what the Nets can do with him. So look, happy summer, Reggie Perry. Go off, have a fun time. And that looks like exactly what he's doing.
See, that's what I love about this time right now. And okay, the NBA season hasn't ended, but the Nets haven't played a game in a month. I guarantee you guys like Reggie Perry, Alize Johnson, Nick Claxton, who we've been watching his social media. These guys have taken a step forward in that month. They could be chilling. They could be in Cancun. They could be back home with family. But I bet you these guys are grinding. Reggie Perry is from the South. He went to Mississippi State. Like, he could be down south. No, he's in New York getting buckets, running games with Carmelo Anthony and J. Cole. You love to see it. So moving on from that, right now that, I'm saying we're a month out of the last Nets game. Another guy that hasn't taken any time off is KD and Team USA. Team USA heads to Tokyo, and obviously they're looking to win the gold, win it all. I think news just came out about Zach LaVine. He's entered the health and safety protocols. He won't be accompanying the team to Tokyo, but that should be fine. We're seeing things coming out of Tokyo about cardboard beds. There's different reasons why they got cardboard beds, but one of the narratives that they ran with for the cardboard beds was that it was supposed to be anti-sex beds. I don't know if that's a thing. I don't think there's a such thing as a bed that's anti-sex. I think people are going to figure it out if they want to figure it out. But yeah, what are your thoughts about KD leading Team USA and heading to Tokyo now to go claim that gold?
Honestly, what I'm thinking is Team USA is not chilling in, the athletes village or whatever, the Olympic village or whatever it's called. Can you imagine 7 foot long ass KD trying to sleep on a normal cardboard bed? Can you imagine these big dudes that they got playing for this team, even for the other teams, the international teams? Like, can you imagine them sleeping on these beds, aside from the fact that they're going to go and they're going to have a fun time in Tokyo because they're vaccinated? They're out there to, have a good time, to represent their country, but also to have a good time. And, these guys aren't normal humans, right? They're not regular sized people. We saw videos of gymnasts, hopping on those beds. Those guys are, 4 foot nothing, right? KD is not going to be sleeping on those beds. But in terms of the Olympic stuff, look, I love watching KD hoop. I think that this is good to keep him in rhythm. I think that it's always exciting to watch him play for Team USA. Obviously, they had a couple slip-ups early, but I think that they're going to just win. I just think they're going to win. Honestly, I don't think they're that bad. I think it's interesting that they decided to go with role players instead of stars when they had slots to replace. But look, at the end of the day, there's just such a big talent gap, and I think KD is just going to kind of run through everybody, to be completely honest.
Yeah, and Dame Lillard and Brad Beal. I'm seeing people in the chat. That boy Rich said Team USA not looking too good. And then Jared says, is Team USA that bad? They might go undefeated in competition. Don't judge these pre-tournament scrimmages. And I think they lost to Nigeria and they lost to someone else, Spain maybe, I don't know. But like that stuff doesn't matter. Like I wouldn't count that against them. These are the best basketball players in the NBA and in the world. And there's only 5 guys on the court. You don't need 20 of the best players. I think they'll be just fine. And you heard it here first. They might not lose a game. When it turns into actual competition, when it turns into, real games that count for something, these guys are elite. They should handle business. They should be just fine. And one thing I wanted to speak on was KD. And I think recently KD spoke on Kobe, and he spoke on how, Kobe made them, like they're disciples of Kobe. Kobe made them, value playing on Team USA. Kobe made it important to go rep your country and go win it for your country. And I love that. Like, Kobe lives on through guys like KD. Now, they won't have Kyrie out there. I think, Kyrie has the ankle and he just had the birth of his son. They also won't have one LeBron James, who is a movie star now. LeBron James, Space Jam. I wish you didn't. I really wish you did not, but I understand. I text Hudson last night. I said, bro, did you see Space Jam? And he's like, nah, I could watch it. And I was like, yeah, like, try to watch it for the pod so we can talk about it. I made it through about 40 minutes last night. How far did you make it through on Space Jam 2 with LeBron James?
Man, I watched the whole damn thing. I wish I didn't. I kept thinking, I kept feeling like it was going to come around. Because I'm going to be honest, I went in with the opinion that, okay, I saw these low, like, Fandango scores or Metacritic, Rotten Tomatoes, whatever scores. And I said, okay, there's definitely like a large portion of people that are giving it, 1 out of 5 stars because they're LeBron haters. So I kind of, in my head, I saw, okay, 30%, let me just give that a plus 20 at least. Just to think like, okay, there's going to be some LeBron haters. Let's see what happens, right? Boy, man, that movie sucks. That movie is not good. It's just not a good movie. I think LeBron is actually a better actor than I thought it would. But the whole time I kept thinking like, so they had like this other family, like LeBron was playing himself, but his family was not playing himself. And they gave him like a son with a new name, and it was clearly supposed to be Bryce's age. And I was like, shit, man, like, did they like give the all clear on this? And there was like the Bronny character who was like, I'm good at basketball, and that was it. Like, it was just strange. And like all of the product placement and all of like, they kept trying to like capitalize on like, oh, look, we saw people from that movie. We saw Game of Thrones. We know those guys that are like in the audience, but like, it's not a good Space Jam movie if the first thing that I keep thinking is, shoot, the Goon Squad's kind of cool though. Like, I thought they were cool. I don't know if you made it far enough. Like they had the AD character. There. They had Diana Taurasi. They had some cool stuff. And, like, they had cooler jerseys. I just, like, I don't know. It just was not a good movie. It, frankly, was not something that I enjoyed. I guess I'm not the target audience, but I enjoy Space Jam, the original. And this one just didn't have the same feel to me. Even the music didn't really do it for me.
I mean, you're closer to the target audience than I am. I saw a tweet where it was like, Space Jam isn't for your 30-year-old ass, and that's facts. Because as soon as I was watching it, I'm like, this shit is wild goofy. The acting is not good. Luckily, Don Cheadle was available to actually add some acting chops because LeBron is not a good actor at all. I will say that Michael Jordan was more believable in Space Jam than LeBron was in Space Jam 2. And like you mentioned, it threw me off with the family, bro. The LeBron James family is one of the most famous families in the world. We all know their first names. Why would you have actors portray them? Savannah, Zori, Bryce, Bronny. Like, we literally know all of them by their first names. They all have brands. Like, Zori has a YouTube channel. She's like 5 years old. Bryce, Bronny, like, these dudes have like millions of followers, I believe. I don't follow them, but like, I thought that was kind of weird that they cast
Bronny's the second recruit in the 2023 class. Yeah. He could have his own NIL deal with the things that are happening. Like, can you imagine?
For that little scene, right? They had a scene in the beginning, and I don't want to spoil it, but they had a scene in the beginning where they're on the court, and it's fake Bronny and fake Bryce. Dom is the character's name that plays Bryce. And he's obviously the one that's like not as into basketball, doesn't want to go to basketball camp, gets sucked into this algorithm, this server space. I don't know, man. I wanted to watch the basketball game. Like, I wanted to see like LeBron hoop in Space Jam. And
there wasn't none of that. There wasn't none of that. I'll just tell you right now, there wasn't none of that.
Okay, good. Because they lost me once they got to the cartoon, bro. Like, once they started showing like Marvin the Martian, I was like, I can't even do this, bro. I tried to like edible my way through it, and I couldn't, bro. I just had to change the channel. Like, I had to turn it off. It was on HBO Max, and I think the next thing I watched after that was like trying to watch some of Loki, but nah. I give it 2 thumbs down. I'm not knocking LeBron's legacy. I'm not knocking LeBron as far as like, I understand the business, right? He moved to LA so he can do movies, so he can be in Tinseltown, Hollywood, and do that type of stuff. But I thought it was weird that his famous family couldn't just play themselves. Two, I thought they lost me by the time they like switched LeBron from a regular person to a cartoon and he didn't start playing basketball yet. And three, like the lines were just so cheesy. And I know it's not for my 30-year-old ass, it's for kids. But I'm like, damn, are kids even laughing at this? If you got to compare it to something, which of course you're going to compare it to the first Space Jam won by a lot. Space Jam 1 won that battle. And if people are saying that like LeBron gets to add this to his legacy, I got it, right? Because in the beginning, they show young LeBron, they show him in Akron, and like that's the same way they showed young Michael in North Carolina. Like, I guess they had to do that, but I thought the movie was weak. I made it through 40 minutes. I'm sorry, guys. Let's move on. Space Jam was weak, but you know what's pretty cool? These new Nike Dunk lows. I don't know if y'all have seen them. I wish I could put it up on the screen. Eventually, we'll get to the point where I can pop stuff on the screen, but there are a pair of Nike Dunk Low Brooklyn Nets coming out, and they are gray and navy blue like the Nets colors, the New Jersey Nets colors. But what's dope about them is they have the old Nets, New Jersey Nets logo with the Brooklyn B as the basketball. I need these. If anybody is listening, anyone is watching, and you're the plug, connect me. I would like 2 pairs. I'm going to do everything I can to get these off sneakers or whenever they drop. They're supposed to drop in October right before the season. Hudson, did you see these kicks? I don't know if you are into kicks like that, but these are fire.
Man, I saw them and I got so sad because I know for a fact that the day that they drop, they're all going to get bought up immediately by the sneakerheads with the programs in their computers that can, instantly buy the shoe, and then they're going to get like tripled for resale, and I'm going to like have to like find myself stumbling over to like, some like sketchy ass website because I have to buy them because they're fucking sick, and wasting money on something that's either a fake or is just too expensive.
400.
These things they're clean, Keith. They're clean. They got the old flair. They got the old colors. They got the new logo in the inside of the old one. I love it. Paying direct homage to Kyrie with the, the jersey links. And this just makes me think, Keith, I think we're getting an early 2000s Nets jersey throwback. That's the Nets team that Kyrie would have been watching. I think we might get Nets across the chest in that blue. Maybe not the red. Maybe that's a little too late. I like the red, but I think in the blue or the gray, we might get that Nets across the chest look, and I'm here for it. That's a must buy in terms of a jersey.
I mean, I've been calling for it for a few years now. I said I know we will not see the 2 words new jersey across the chest of the Brooklyn Nets, not to offend the Brooklyn faithful, but man, you got to pay homage. You got to do a little bit more of a tribute. I love the 1991 jerseys, but like you said, that wasn't the era that Kyrie watched. That wasn't the era that I watched. We need this Jason Kidd, Vince Carter, Richard Jefferson, Kerry Kittles era look. And with these new dunks coming out, they got to give us one of those jerseys. They got to give us most likely the Nets jersey that's Nets, Nets across the chest with I think there's a white jersey like that, and the red jersey would be fire if they really wanted to take it that far. But the blue jerseys that say New Jersey, I don't think we're going to get those. All right, moving on. Speaking of what we're going to get and how we're going to get it, everything runs through the owner of this team. And the owner of this team, Mr. Joe Tsai. What do I say about the guy? He bought a $157 million mansion. Well, not a mansion, but it's probably a mansion apartment. It's in Manhattan, a $157 million home. It's the 3rd most expensive home ever sold in the United States. Of course, this prompts Nets fans to start counting his money and start reaching into his pockets based on the home that he purchased and try and flip that into, he better pay Spencer Dinwiddie. Oh, this guy's got money, huh? He's going to definitely pay Spencer now. I didn't get that right away. Hudson, what did you think when you saw this? I'll say what I thought. Honestly, I was like, where? It's by like Central Park South, probably one of those high rises. I'm like, where in New York is there a home in Manhattan, in the city, in Midtown? Where is there a home worth $157 million? And what does it look like? Can we get a Home Digest YouTube video or whatever those things are where they tour the apartment. Like, I want to see this.
They might have to bring back cribs or something. I do have to see what this thing looks like. Like, it must be like the top 5 floors of a high rise overlooking Central Park. Like, it's got to be something crazy like that. And man, he's got money. He's got money. He's got all different kinds of money. You know, people say these athletes are so rich. No, the owners are the rich ones, the governors, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, no, I get the Spencer Dinwiddie conversation because Spence went on, I forget whose show it was, and he said he wants $125 million over 5 years. And you know, this is all negotiation. You always start high, but man, if you're seeing Joe Tsai splash out the dollars for this house, 125 over 5 doesn't seem like too big of a deal. You know, when it comes to impacting Joe Tsai's coffers, he's clearly doing well for himself. So, look. He's made it clear that he is serious about winning the Nets a championship, about bringing a parade to Brooklyn. But words mean nothing if you don't put the money behind it. He's already put the money behind it with the stars. We do have to think about, you know, having to re-sign KD and James Harden at this point, which is scary that we have to think about that now. But look, he's got that money. So if it comes down to it, and he really wants, and the organization really wants Spencer Dinwiddie to stay a Brooklyn Net, we can make it happen.
I think it might happen, man. Especially like, you know, we talk about Spence. I said we had another topic where we'd come back to Spence. Here it is. His name was the first name to come up when the world found out about this mystery buyer in Joe Tsai. And I think it's a possibility. Why wouldn't it be? Okay. If Spencer doesn't command the money that he thinks he wants, he's going to decide to stay in a place that he's been and a place that he can win. That's a bar right there. He's going to stay in a place that he's been and a place that he can win. Why would he go somewhere else just for the bag to take L's? Why would he go somewhere else and start all over? Like, the thing about these guys, when you're talking about a billionaire like Joe Tsai and even a millionaire like Spencer Dinwiddie, the money, like, they're rich already. The money is not that crazy. Like, a couple million of them does not change too much. Look at Aaron Rodgers, bro. They just said Aaron Rodgers turned down a contract from the Packers that would have made him the richest player in NFL history. It's not always about the money. So we'll see what happens with that. Shout out to Tsai. I don't know if anybody knows who that is. I see you, brother. Let us know when me and Hudson can pull up and play 2K or spend the night, bro. Like, we're trying to hang. Let us know when we can come to the apartment. All right, moving on. Last but not least, I got one thing about the Nets before we go around the association, and then Hudson's got another thing about one of our Nets coaches. So Billy Reinhart, our guy Billy Reinhart, reported that the Brooklyn Nets are slated to open the preseason against the Lakers in Los Angeles on October 3rd. So it makes sense that they be holding training camp in San Diego, which was also Joe Tsai thing. Nets owner Joe Tsai, of course, owns the San Diego Seals of the NLL. West Coast vibes. I like all of that. I might have to slide out there and see what's good, but good. Mark your calendars, ladies and gentlemen. 10/3/21. That's not that far from now. It's almost August 3rd, right? August, September, October. Like 3 months, we're back on. When we got off our last episode after we took that L and the season was over, I said these 4 months are going to fly. We're already 1 month through. We got 3 more months, and then we're back on. And, man, I have so many ideas and plans for Talkin Nets to make this show better, to make this show doper, make this show cooler, make y'all more of a part of this show. We will get there by October. Hudson, are you pumped about the Nets having a start date for the preseason against the Lakers? And after you share your thoughts on that, let us know about the update that you just read about one of our assistant coaches.
So I am hyped, obviously. I mean, to have it on paper, to know that the draft is next week, that free agency starts, it's all exciting news. It just all means that this, couple month long nightmare of not having Nets basketball to watch every day is coming to an end. It's almost over. We just got a couple months left, less than 3 months to get to the preseason, to get to these games. I'm excited to watch KD play LeBron for 15 minutes. It's going to be great. And look, I'm looking forward to it. But like Keith alluded to, I do have some news that broke just before we went on this podcast. There was a little inside report from a guy, Jake Fisher, on Bleacher Report that said, I have the scoop on why Jacques Vaughn really pulled his name out of the New Orleans head coaching search, even though he was one of the most prized assistant coach candidates, around the league. The report says that he didn't like how involved the front office of the Pelicans was going to be in the day-to-day operations of the team. He didn't like that they were going to have say on rotations. They didn't like that they were going to have say on who's going to be the starting five. And Jacques Vaughn said, you know what? That's too much for me. I want to be able to pick my own assistants. I want to be able to make my own rotations. I want to be able to do my work as the head coach, because at the end of the day, it all does fall on him in the public. And he said no, and he said, I'm out. And I'm glad he did. I'm glad that the Nets get another year with him, because all of the reports say that for these past 2 seasons, he's been the number one assistant on the market to make it, to become a head coach. And so for the Nets to be able to have him for this year is huge. And I know there's been some criticism of the Nets coaching staff. Didn't like some of the plays we ran, didn't like some of the mistakes we were making, didn't like some of the rotations, yada, yada, yada. Jacques Vaughn is that dude. He's a very, very good basketball coach. He should be a head coach in the NBA right now. And us having him on our roster is something that really cannot be understated in terms of its importance. So I'm very excited that we're going to be able to keep him. And I like that, that kind of implies that his spot in Brooklyn is like he's comfortable there. He likes it in Brooklyn. He doesn't feel like, oh, I need to get out of here. I need to go forge my own path. He enjoys the coaching staff. He enjoys the front office. He enjoys the organization. And that's good. It just shows signs of a healthy franchise. And I am glad, after so many years of dysfunction, that the Nets are outwardly showing signs of being in a good place rather than in being a toxic place.
It's not always about the money. It's also not always about the title, right? Title as far as head coach or assistant coach. We're out here to get a title. We're out here to win a title. And Jacques Vaughn is comfortable in Brooklyn. And he's not ready to jump to a place like New Orleans to be the head coach and have people in his business as far as how he handles his team and the road. Like, that stuff matters, man. And I am mostly pumped because Steve Nash needs him. Run it back. Like, do we have any updates on D'Antoni and where he's looking? I mean,
no word. I think he's staying though. I'm pretty confident that he's going to be on here. None of the openings are for him. So I think
I need them to run it back, bro. I need them three to run it back for this Nets team, right? And that's a good way to segue into Game 6 of the NBA Finals. That's all we've got for news narratives. Nets. We're going to talk around the association, which is short and quick to the point, man. It's Game 6. Bucks lead 3-2. They get the Suns tonight in Milwaukee at the Pfizer Forum, the Deer District. I can't believe I physically went over there. Like, can't believe I was actually in the Deer District when we were up 2-0, and how quickly things change. And I say we need to run it back because we're watching the Bucks. And if you listen to this podcast, which you all do, when we were facing the Bucks in the series, I said the NBA knows that this is it. The winner of this series will most likely come out of the East and then has a good chance at taking this whole thing. And the Brooklyn Nets were an inch or two away from ending the Bucks season. And here we are with the Bucks having a chance to win this whole thing tonight. I have not watched a single game of the series. Like I said, I got married. I had a wedding to plan. Then I had a trip to Denver for my honeymoon/work event, John Boy Media event, Home Run Derby All-Star game. There was not a single second that I sat down to watch this finals. I was pumped when I saw the Suns go up 2-0. I'm not rooting for Giannis. I'm not rooting for the Bucks. I know some of you have reached out to say things along the lines of like, I don't know. Someone was like, oh, well, if the Bucks win it, then we lost to the best team. Like, I don't find any like comfort in that. I don't find any solace in that. Like fuck that, honestly. Like, the team that knocks us out, I want them to get knocked out. I don't find any assurance in the fact that like we would have won because they won. Hudson, what are your thoughts about that? Like the Bucks beating us and them going on to potentially win the finals. Do you feel any better about the Nets losing to the eventual NBA champion?
No moral victories, Keith. No moral victories. We only want victories on the court. And look, there is something to be said for the fact that the Nets would have won that series in 5 games had our whole team been healthy. And that shows, oh, look, the Nets really would have, rolled through the rest of the playoffs, would have won the championship. We would have been celebrating a parade tomorrow. Who knows? But no moral victories, right? We didn't assemble this team to have the same mentality as the old Nets team, right? So we're going to go out and we're going to say we got to win games, not get moral victories, not say, look, maybe the transitive property means we win. None of that. None of that. I am happy for Brooklyn Brook. People saying that in the chat. I am happy for him. I'm glad that he does get his ring. He has deserved it. He does earn it if he does get it, obviously.
I mean, I would say they ain't win yet. And I'm pumped for Brook Lopez too. He slapped the B. I was fine with him slapping the B because, like, we already talked about this. Great for Brook Lopez getting a ring. But that doesn't make me feel any better. That doesn't make me feel any better.
No, it doesn't. And it shouldn't. Honestly, it shouldn't. If that's what you need to get through the day of these transitive property victories, like, go off, I guess, honestly. But, like, look, I want the Suns to still win this game. I want them to win this series because I hate the Bucks. I hate their guts. I really hate everything about their team. I hate their fans. I hate the way that they play. I hate Giannis for sliding under Kyrie. I even hate PJ Tucker. As much as he, like, does nice things and, like, I should like him, he's a bitch for the way he guarded KD. I don't like that. All that sucks. I don't like the Bucks. Go Suns. Suns in 7. Got to stay confident.
Yeah, I would love to see the Suns force a game 7 and then win it at home. But, bro, they've lost 3 games in a row. I just don't think they've got it. I think the Bucks are a better team. They're a bigger team, a more physical team, a more experienced team, you could even say. Obviously, Chris Paul, the point god, has all the experience in the world, but he's got experience blowing it. He's got experience losing. He's got experience not getting it done, and that's starting to pop up now. Devin Booker. Let's talk about Book. Book dropping 40 points back-to-back games in losses. Like, what can you do? I have not watched the game, so I will not even attempt to talk X's and O's. We are Brooklyn Nets fanalysts, not NBA analysts. I'm not going to come in here and be like, well, maybe if they got the ball to 8 and more and they double team Giannis. Like, nah. What I'm seeing from these games is that the Suns are blowing it, and momentum is a huge thing. You guys all saw it in our series. Like I said, we went up 2-0, and then the Bucks win 2 games, and we were a layup away from winning game 3 on their floor. If Bruce Brown doesn't take our last 2 shots, maybe one of those fall. But the Bucks got it right now, man. And I told y'all, and I'll say it again, this is what the NBA wants. Do they want the Suns to win their first finals ever? Sure. But the greater story, especially for their international market, especially for their overseas fans, it's a global game. The greater story is for their 2-time MVP and Giannis to win it. And people dog Giannis. People hate on Giannis. Spencer Dinwiddie came out with the tweet, bringing Spencer back into the convo. He said, just thought of an interesting what if. Maybe Marvel inspired me. Giannis is out for game 6 due to health and safety protocols. Close contact with Thanasis. Bucks still win. Does Chris Middleton get finals MVP? CJ McCollum chimed in on this. Rudy Gobert had something to say. And then Spencer replied to his tweet. He said, let's not take this too serious. It was a Marvel-inspired what if. Giannis deserves finals MVP if Bucks finish this thing. Now, Giannis ain't do it on his own, but he's going to get finals MVP because this is how it was written. This is what the NBA wanted. This is fitting their script exactly. But I do think that Chris Middleton obviously saved his ass, and Drew Holiday and Pat Connaughton, and PJ, they do play as a team. It isn't all on Giannis, but Giannis, of course, is the MVP and the focal point.
It's a legacy award. He's going to get it because he's got the legacy, right? It's Giannis. He's that dude. He's getting the award, not necessarily because he's the runaway favorite to win it, but because he's Giannis, and that's just what it is at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm fine with it, bro. I'm fine with it. This wasn't our year. I'm ready for the offseason to start so we can get ready for our year. As soon as the finals ends, our year starts. Like the 2021-2022 NBA season and championship, which will belong to your Brooklyn Nets, the quest starts It started for us a month ago, but it really starts once the NBA season ends. So though I am not rooting for Giannis and the Bucks, if they win tonight, I won't lose any sleep over it. I won't be mad. And tonight will be the game that I do watch. I think they win it tonight on their home floor. I don't want to see it happen, but I don't think that they want to go back to Arizona. I think that their fans were chanting Bucks in 6, knowing that, hey, these guys can rip off 4 wins in a row and end it here. And I think that as big and strong and experienced as those guys are, they're going to leave it all out there on the floor tonight. It would take a ridiculous performance out of Booker, another 40 out of Booker. Maybe they don't need Book to drop 40. Maybe somebody else like, Chris Paul get 30, Ayton get 20. Who knows? I don't really care. I'm off it. Like I said, I am ready for the NBA season to conclude. Hudson Flynn, any more thoughts on the NBA Finals, Game 6, Bucks, Suns, Bucks?
Nah, that's just lame. I'm bored of it. Let's go to the offseason.
Yeah. Shit's corny, bros. I can't wait to get into offseason talk. I see all these Nets accounts on Instagram and Twitter with like prospect hype, who we could potentially draft or who we should be targeting. I don't want Talkin Nets to really get too deep into that. I just think it just creates like a space of like what ifs and a lot of people arguing over like nothing, over like things that are in theory good or bad for us. Like we're not an organization. We don't know. But what we do know is that the NBA draft will be next Thursday, July 29th in Brooklyn. Brooklyn is the host. The Nets went through plenty of years of hosting the draft and not having picks, but we're in a different world. We're in a Nets world, baby. So we're hosting the draft, and we've got 4 picks. We've got pick 27, 44, 49, and 59. They're going to invite 20 players to the green room in Brooklyn. Last year, you guys remember, it was all virtual, COVID. Remember that thing? And, it should be good time. It should be a good time, good vibes. It should be, that feel that you get around the draft. Like, okay, new guys are coming into the league. There's promise. There's hope. Who will be the best guys? Who will be the rookie of the year? There's a lot of teams that have multiple picks in the first couple rounds like us. And I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. We'll cover it. So next week's episode will be an NBA draft episode. We'll talk about the picks. Should the Nets trade those picks? Who should they be looking at with those picks? There's mock drafts out. I've glanced at a couple of those. Like I said, it's all speculation. We don't know. And like I said, Talkin Nets, we're going to talk about the Nets, but we're not going to do too much talk around. Like, I'm not going to break down film on a 19-year-old kid from, I don't know, Stanford. Like, I'm just not doing that. Like, we will talk about the potential picks and what could be done with them in the draft and stuff next week, but we'll see what happens. And then we'll react to that. Hudson, your thoughts on the NBA draft, our NBA draft episode coming up next week, and the official start of the offseason once next week's pod rolls around?
Frankly, I think the Nets are going to do exactly what they did last year. I think they're going to trade it. Sean Marks has a much, much, much better record when it comes to trading for players than he does in terms of drafting them. Obviously, we like Nick Claxton. We like Reggie Perry. We like some of the other stuff. Had some L's, Zana Musa, Rodion Kurucs. He's a genius at trading, and those are big trade assets. So what I'm expecting is when we do go live for the NBA draft, I am expecting the Nets to make some moves. I expect Sean Marks to be wheeling and dealing, and I'm looking forward to see who he brings in, because at that point, there's going to be a lot of movement. If you remember the draft last time, we thought we were getting James Harden on draft night. There's going to be a lot of stories that break, a lot of front office drama, and I'm looking forward to it because I think the Nets are always, always, always going to come out on top of whatever offseason they find themselves in. And when you look at those 4 picks they have, you think, man, that's a lot of trade value. And that's what I'm expecting. Maybe we draft one player, maybe we take a late flyer. But honestly, I think they're getting traded, and I am excited to see who comes in and becomes a Brooklyn Net.
Yeah, man. We got Landry Shamet last year. Hudson and I were live for the draft last year, and the title of the podcast was, "This is not a draft preview. We want James Harden." And that's when a lot of Nets fans were saying, we don't need James Harden. We don't want James Harden. We'll have to give up everyone for James Harden. And Hudson and I were like, yeah, well, if you have an opportunity to get a player like James Harden, that's what it costs. That's what we should do. We didn't end up getting him in October. Fast forward to January, we got him. So we'll see what Sean Marks has up his sleeve real soon. We'll probably go live for pick 27, and then we'll do another live for pick 44 and 49, probably talking about the other picks and whatever the Nets do with the picks, whether they trade them or not. So be on the lookout for that next week. That's all we've got. I would play one voicemail, but here's like a funny story that just makes sense in everything that has gone on with me. So, my wedding, aka McFestival, was last Saturday, July 10th. Well, not this past Saturday, the one before that. And I DJ'd the wedding. I set it all up. So I had to be the last one to like close the place down, talk to the venue, clean up. And my whole wedding party went back to the hotel. In the hotel, there is a rooftop bar where I don't know how many people could fit in there, but pretty much my whole wedding went in there. So I'm guessing there was like 40 of us in there, not including me, not including my sister, not including who would have been my best man if I did a traditional wedding, and my right-hand man, Corey. So we pull up the four of us after the wedding. It's like, I don't know, 10:45, 11 to the club. And they say, we're at capacity. Y'all can't get in. I have my Bluetooth speaker in my back pocket. I'm like, whatever. Like, I'm not beat to like be refused at the club on my wedding night. My wife is in there. My grandmother is in there. My mom and dad are like, whatever. I'm out. I had reservations booked down the street for bottle service in the event that the hotel that I was booked in fronted on me. I have my Bluetooth speaker. I turned on some nip last time that I checked. And I just walked down the street with the people I was with and into bottle service with my Bluetooth speaker in a club with loud speakers. Still have my Bluetooth playing. I put my speaker down on the bottle service table. Our bottles came. Our beers came. Next thing you know, I wake up the next morning. Where's my Bluetooth? I check the pictures. It's on the table in the club. I lost the Bluetooth speaker because I was faded. And the Bluetooth speaker is usually how I play the voicemails on the podcast. So no voicemails today, but call and leave a voicemail so you can be heard. The number is 201-870-0461. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review the pod. It's the off season now. We're working on getting some guests lined up. The reviews and ratings help. We're on the road to 200. I think we've got 105 now. So leave a review. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. That's our number one platform. Make sure you follow us on Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the pod. All that. We appreciate the support. That's all we've got for this episode 115. Tried to give y'all almost an hour, and we did. We found some stuff to talk about. So thank you again. Hudson Flynn, anything to add before we sign off?
Offseason starts maybe tonight, maybe after, a couple nights. Who knows? But just know we're going to be there. Keith and I are going to be banging out some emails, getting some behind-the-scenes work done, working on some guests, working on some new content for you. With the offseason comes more excitement from us. So stay tuned and look forward to what we are going to bring you.
And that's it. That's all we got. Let the season end. Start the offseason. Let's go Nets. Let's go Nets. Brooklyn. And that's the show. All right. It's like 50, 51 minutes. The live's a little longer. Live's going to get to probably like 54. But shout out to y'all in the chat. Saw Sarge in the chat, Luis in the chat, Nick in the chat, Jared in the chat, Adam in the chat, that boy Rich in the chat. Let's see. We had some other. I think someone said, oh, that boy Rich. That boy Rich says, what about the rumors of us going after PJ Tucker in free agency? I don't want to see his goofy ass in a Nets uniform.
Nah, that's lame. Just keep Uncle Jeff.
That's it.
I don't need no PJ Tucker. Get out of here, PJ. I really just did not appreciate it, what you did.
Adam says, whoever wins more of the remaining games will be the champion. That's facts. And the Bucks only have to win one for that to happen. So we shall see. Pour one out for the Bluetooth speaker. Yeah, that I literally like know the manager, owner of the club, and I hit him back and I sent him a picture. I was like, yo, this Bluetooth speaker right here in the picture. Like, did anyone find it? The Bluetooth speaker is something that, like, I don't know. If you're a bottle service girl or a guy cleaning up the bottle service area,
you take that.
You take that. That's something that you can take, and now that's yours. Like, it's the type of thing that, like, there's no lock on who can connect to the Bluetooth. Like, they got that. I already ordered another one. It'll be here today. But that's how I play I usually hold the speaker and play from my phone here because the speaker on the phone doesn't play it loud enough to come through the mic. So I think JJ left a voicemail. So sorry about it, JJ. Next week, you'll be in the voicemails
next week
for next week. And that's all
we
we
might even
got.
yeah.
Go for it.
I was gonna say we might do some. I mean, if we're doing live, we can do some live questions, and that'll be good. You can call in like as we're live. It should be exciting. Should be a fun night for Nets fans.
I'm thinking
a lot of waiting though.
I'm thinking we do a draft preview episode Wednesday night where people wake up Thursday and can listen to that before the draft, and then we go live on YouTube and Instagram. Like I think we do a live on Instagram for the 44 and the 49th pick, but we'll go live, or maybe vice versa, because there should be a first live for the 27th pick, depending on whether we trade it or whatever, and then there should be another live for our 2 picks that are 5 picks from each other. But I don't want to go live twice on YouTube. We'll see. If it's the type of thing where the picks are moving pretty quickly, we might be able to stay on live from 27 to 49. But I'll know that next week. Either way, we will be here. We will be available. We will be on top of the Nets coverage. Keith McPherson and Hudson Flynn signing off for Talkin Nets, episode 115.